Okay. I welcome you all on behalf of Anish Defense Career Institute. Today we'll be discussing about Afcat 2024 to Shift 1 questions. So as we all know, the Afcat is going to be conducted on 9th, 10th and 11th of August. And the questions from each shift are very helpful for the next shift, as we are able to predict a few themes, a few questions which will be very helpful. So today we'll be seeing a few sections, mostly of GK, mathematics and reasoning, and we'll be learning about a few things. What is the paper demand currently? What are the questions like? What are the new themes which have emerged out of this shift one? So let's see a few questions. So checking about the GK section, the first question you'll be able to see on the screen is what is Amnesty International? So now this, so now the theme here is related to environment. Why Amnesty International? So Amnesty International is an environmental phenomena, and it is related to a NGO which helps related to climate change. So here we need to what we need to study or what we need to seek from this question. The next thing we should study from Amnesty International are what are the other initiatives for environment. For example, like United Nations Climate Action Plan. Then we have UNCCD. Then we have multiple things for climate change or for disaster management. So we should know what are these organizations are related to. If you simply on Google search various environmental initiatives by international bodies, you'll get 7-8 names, which will be very helpful. Even if you get one name and you know that the theme is related to climate or it is related to environment, you would easily be able to do this. The second question here you can see on the screen is Chinese navigation satellite. So the Chinese navigation satellite is something known as Baidu. Now here the hint here is given is about navigation satellite. What else you need to know? You need to know what are the other countries' navigation satellite. For example, India has a satellite known as Navik. India has a satellite known as Navik. Then Europe has something known as Galileo. Then for Russia, it is something as glass glow something. It is something related to like that. So it will not be the case that the same satellite will be asked for you in the different shift. It would be that a different country satellite would be asked in the next shift. Second, we'll try to also know what are the sources. So for the next question, Vishaka Datta is written by. So this question, you will know that this question was is in your themes NCRT class 12th. Also in Lucent. Lucent is a yellow colored book which is very helpful. You can trace a lot of questions out of Lucent. So you should know all these things. What else? What hints are given from here? That Vishaka Datta is written by. As far as this book is concerned, so the question here lies is there are literary works and there are authors. So you should know that by whom this book was written, and you'll find a pink colored table in Lucent, where there are given literary works, and on the right hand side there are the name of the authors. So you should mug up all this. There are, I think, 10 to 12 such things, and it will be very easy for you. Next is Indian Air Force Heritage Center. As you want to join the Indian Air Force, you are bound to know what all these things are. The next is Air Force regular theme number of Kho players. Now you should know number of basketball players, number of players in volleyball, number of players in kabaddi, all those repeated themes. Next is UNICEF. Now UNICEF again a body which is related to environment and climate change. Okay. Now this is Climate Exchange Fund. So you should know who is the national ambassador, by whom it is funded. All these important themes you should be knowing about. Now coming on the next thing, this is a very important and recurring theme about missiles. So missiles, we have ballistic missile, we have cruise missile, we have sonic, supersonic, then hypersonic. You must be knowing which missile is known as supersonic, which missile is known as hypersonic, and much more thing. So you should know what is the range. For example, if it is asked, BrahMos missile, what is its range? It is 100 to 150 kilometer. Then there are different missiles which have a range of 600 kilometer, which are known as intercontinental missiles. So missile is a recurring theme, and you will be expecting, you should be expecting a question in the next shift. It is 100% bound to come there. Next is indigenous mobile hospital. So this is a current affair. There is a chance that you may know, or there is a direct complete chance that you may not know this question. Then the ninth question is related to GST. As we know, in 2016, 102nd Amendment Act, GST Council was launched and GST was added. There was state GST, there was central GST, there was integrated GST system. So as a citizen of India, not as a student for Afcat, but as a citizen of India, you should know what is GST, how is the funds calculated, how is the fund deviated to center, how much is given to center, how much is given to state, and then there is integrated GST system. Then on what all appliances GST is calculated, is petrol under GST or is it liquor under GST? All these things you should know, that petrol liquor doesn't come under GST. Then what are essential items which come under GST? Next is contents of cigarette smoke. Now in this question, these are broad based questions. I call such type of questions broad based questions, because multiple things are there in the cigarette smoke. For example, there is sulfur, there is nitrous oxide, and multiple other things. So you should know that this is a broad based question, and this all depends upon the content of the material in forming of a cigarette. Now when it will be ignited, the smoke will be completely dependent upon the content. So as a logic, you should be more focused on the content of the cigarette. Next is action plan for road safety. Again, a current affair question. You may or you may not know, but there are certain themes you should are bound to know. Next is question 12. It is related to smart full form. This again you are not bound to know, but you need to deduce the logic from the four option which you will be given. For example, if it is something related to the initials are SMART, so you should try to at least connect the dots and deduce something out of it rather than leaving the question. Okay, moving ahead. Then we have question number 13, which is related to food chain. Now in food chain, we know that autotrophs come on the base. Then we have heterotrophs. Then we have various carnivorous and multiple things. We should know the food chain, that there is grass. The grass is eaten by goat. The goat is being eaten by tiger. Similarly, on that line, you need to think, you need to have control on your fundamentals. This food chain was introduced to us in class 6th. If you must be remembering this. So you should know all these things. And on the similar lines, you should expect now in that, in the further thing, they will be asking about food web. What is a food web? Then energy levels in a food web. All you all must be knowing that grass here, if you are considering the example of grass, so here the energy level is the highest. But when the grass is being consumed by a goat, the energy is reduced because the energy is transmitted to the environment. And when it is eaten by the tiger, the energy is again reduced because the energy is again taken by the environment in the form of carbon. So there are multiple things you should know, but all at the base you should remember that simple logic always works. Then we have yoga body limbs. So in this, the examiner is expecting you to know the main important limbs or important body parts, which are very helpful, as health is an important criteria these days. Now there is question number 15, which is related to state list subjects. You all must be knowing in the year of 1932, there was round table conference, third round table conference, in which the Congress did not participate. And the result of this round table congress was, or round table conference was, that we came to know a concept known as Government of India Act of 1935. Government of India Act of 1935. Now, in these act, there were various subjects which were divided into three lists: the central list, the state list or provincial list, and the concurrent list. Concurrent list is a list in which the subjects which are not distributed in either central or state are distributed in the concurrent list. So you should be knowing that what are the fundamentals. For example, something like defense will not be in state list because defense is a broader subject and it will go to central. And something like education or health will go into the concurrent list. Why? Because education can be planned centrally as well as state wise. So this requires a consensus of both the partners, that is the state and the center. So you should know that where should these falls. For example, something related to land reforms or land is a state part because the state is the owner of the land under its jurisdiction. So some normal things should be remembered by you. Next is a very important theme in CDS, in FCAT, or in NDA, that is fundamental duties. Why fundamental duties? Because it is one of the basic structure of our constitution. Although it was not developed when the constitution was formed in 1959, but in the year 1976, under 42nd Amendment Act, the Indira Gandhi government had formed the fundamental rights under the Swaran Singh committee. Now you should know the 10 fundamental duties, which is related to cherish the noble ideas, to respect the constitution, to respect the preamble, to come to serve for the country whenever called upon to do so, to have scientific temper, to have the feeling of brotherhood, to have fraternity and love, and to protect the environment. These are your fundamental duties. So you should remember fundamental duties. Now, in the next shift, you should expect a question on fundamental rights, either the DPSP, Director Principle of State Policy, or the preamble. For example, the socialist or democratic word is mentioned in the preamble or not, or if it is mentioned by which constitutional amendment act. So all these things are expected by you. So don't take this session as only the explanation of the today's shift. You should know that by this questions you might be expecting questions of similar nature. So fundamental duties, fundamental rights, DPSP, preamble, etc. are similar to each other on the lines of constitutionalism. So you should expect such questions. Now it's question number 17th is gravitational force, a very basic question which we study in class 9th and 10th. So this is again a very easy question, and now you can expect questions related to Kepler's law or law of motion. You should be expecting questions on Kepler's law, law of motion, or centrifugal force, or different phenomena related to science, especially related to physics, for the next shift. For the next shift. Okay. Now, what is Project Ishan? Here I called it you are bound to know or you're not. So this is based on your luck. Now, first Indian Oscar, again a theme. The first are very important. Okay. Next question is related to Vagnak weapon. Vagnak weapon, important theme this year. Why? Because the ruling government in the state of Maharashtra says that it brought back the Vagnak, which Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj had used to kill Shaista Khan. So there was a heated controversy going on that was this the same Wagnak which was being used to kill Shaista Khan. So there was a controversy, and such controversial usually don't have a place in our examination section, although this time it has been asked. So for such type of questions, I would simply call you a luck factor that you might be knowing this or you might not. So you don't have to worry about these questions, but you definitely need to worry about questions which I'll be circling right now in red. So these questions are this Chinese navigation satellite, then about Amnesty International, and then you should also be knowing number of Coco players. Then moving to next slide, we should you should know Rampage missile. Then about GST, contents of cigarette. Uh, Next slide, food chain, state list, fundamental duty, gravitational force. There are roughly 10 to 12 questions which were very easy and doable. Question number 20. Now, in question number 20, it is written about rivers and its tributaries. Now, here we should know what important rivers. So, for if we are concerned with India, the first river which come to our mind is Ganga. Now, you should know Ganga tributaries: left bank, right bank. Left bank Gandak, Kosi, and then right bank we have Ghagra, Son, etc., etc. Then the other major is Indus. Then the other is Brahmaputra. Then you should be knowing things about Godavari, Krishna, Godavari, Krishna. So these five river systems: Ganga, Indus, Brahmaputra, Godavari, Krishna. You should be thorough, thorough with its tributaries, whether it is a left bank or right bank, because these questions are asked in NDA, in Afcat, in CDS, in civil services. No matter which exam you give related to UPSC, in all these four or five things, river and its tributaries are 100% asked. 100%. There is always a chance that it will be asked. Now, tracking the questions. By tracking here, I mean that how do you help yourself by knowing these questions? So, viewing the Vishaka Dutt question number 3, I guess. So, according to me, that lucent history part, which is roughly 6-7 pages, it should be thoroughly done by you. In that section, you will be having the Harappa, you will be having the Vedic period, you will be having the Maurya dynasty, the Gupta dynasty, the Sangam age, or then you will be having the medieval period in which the dynasty related to Krishna Dev Raya II. These are very important. You can expect a question from them there. There it is roughly 6 to 7 pages. It will take you 2 hours to read it plus 2 hours to revise it, and the profit is 3-4 questions if you get it correct. Now the second, as I already told, navigation satellite. This time China was asked. Next time maybe India will be asked. In the next time maybe USA will be asked, which is GPS. Next time maybe Europe will be asked. Next time maybe Australia or Japan may be asked. So you should know. Then games expect one or two questions in all the shifts now onwards. Now Kho was asked, next maybe Kabaddi, next maybe basketball. All such questions are very important. Now types of missile range wise. Agni, BrahMos, you should know the missile, you should know the range. Every single thing is very important. Now the next is prepare fundamental duties thoroughly. Now the question will be usually like, is this a part of fundamental duty or no? So if you remember the 10 fundamental duties, it will be very easier for you that the remaining ones are easily tackled by you. You don't have to worry. So prepare fundamental duties thoroughly, prepare fundamental rights thoroughly, prepare DPSP thoroughly. This will give you 1 to 2 questions easily, which is 6 marks. 6 marks can make or break your attempt. You will be inside or you will be outside the game. Next is all major rivers and the tributaries, as I already told: Ganga, Godavari, Krishna, Brahmaputra. So here we come to an end of the GK section. I hope that you may get at least some important information from this GK section and you will apply this in your remaining time up to your exam so that it will be very helpful for you. The next is math section. We did not get a lot of maths questions directly which were asked, but we have got a rough idea on what level it was asked and what should be your preparation level. And do not try to do something new as of now if you will be having your exam tomorrow morning or the day after tomorrow morning. Like few questions which were very easy and logic based. You don't have to put a lot of mind in that. There are a few questions on calendar. So calendar, there were 3 questions. Usually students ignore calendar theme because they find it very complex or complicated, but you need to just give some extra time for this. It will help you fetch 9 to 12 marks. So calendar is an important theme, recurring theme. Next is averages. We saw, I think, uh, 2 questions on averages. In profit and loss there were 3 questions. So on such themes you need to focus what was earlier asked. Now for the next shift, it is very important. If there was a question asked on percentage, so you revise all your basic concepts of percentage. How will you calculate a population change? How will you calculate percentage error? How will you calculate different types of percentages? Similarly, calendar, you should be thorough with the theme now. Averages, if you know that out of there are 30 questions in English, there are 25 questions in GK, there are 25 questions in reasoning, and 20 questions in maths. In this maths, you don't have to do 20 to 20 questions. You need to do those 14 to 17 questions which are always asked. What is always asked? There is always a theme on percentage. There is always a theme on average. There is always a theme on time, speed, distance, time, and work. You need to just know the basics. The questions are not of very much advanced level. The questions are of very basic level. And if you are expecting two questions from all of them, and then you have rest, profit and loss, there are always question and simple interest and compound interest. You are easily getting your 12 to 13 questions correct, and anything above that is your bonus points. So if you're doing 15 questions correct here, you're getting a 45 marks. The cutoff is ranging from 160 to 170. Let's assume this, but we need to score 200 marks to get inside the merit list. So you are not in a condition that you may leave any easy questions. So always, like I always say, that focus on fundamentals. And what are your fundamentals? Fundamentals are the things which give you the maximum marks at any day, be it a rainy day or a normal day. And here there is reasoning. Reasoning was very simple. Then you have maths, those 12 to 17 questions. Then GK 15, and then English is completely yours. 30 questions, same recurring themes. There is nothing as a big mountain. So focus on the fundamentals and you will easily score good amount of marks. Now it is very important that in these times you don't get yourself distracted away by doing only the questions which were asked, but also focusing on the basics. For people who will be having their exams tomorrow or day after tomorrow, focus more on especially solving reasoning questions, especially on the themes. If you are able to get them, if you practice these things, your basics like the first 50 questions of maths and reasonings, you will be, if you are able to do 35 to 40, more than half the race is won there. You don't need to do anything else. Then English is a doable, much doable part, and GK is all about, some factors are about your revision, and there is a big factor of luck in GK also. But I hope that the fundamental things, like today it was fundamental duties, it was gravitation, then it was related to missile. These things won't get neglected by you because these things will give you marks. Also, apply a lot of logic. Apply a lot of logic. Try to seek the initial alphabets so that you can break something as smart which was used in today's exam. You might be knowing that if it is a scheme, so SMART might be meaning something. There is nothing like that, it is just given a name smart. Everything has a reason behind it, especially when you are in a country like India. For example, if the name is, if the name of the scheme is something related to solar, there is 100% chance of renewable energy. There is 100% sun related, renewable energy related, or climate change related. So you should develop your mind in a way that the name itself, we call this as etymology. Etymology helps to break the MCQ. Everything has a meaning behind it. So in GK, focus on those things which are very, very important, and rest, focus more on the parts of reasoning and math section. GK is all about luck and your revision, but maths is very, very, maths and reasoning is all about your mind muscle, mind and muscle memory. If you have practiced 100 questions of maths, it is very easy for you to solve maths. And similarly on reasoning, with every questions comes your own logic. For example, if there is a question, you will have your own logic to solve this. This is just an example. The more number of questions you do, the more you'll get. Find a lot of questions on Google, search for them and try to solve them. That was that was all for today. That was all for today. uh, I hope you find this session of some help. try to seek the knowledge from this and apply this on your remaining time. Solve a lot of questions on maths and reasoning, and keep revising the general knowledge and English. English will also help you to sail through the exam and come up with flying colors. Thank you so much. All the best.